the title of the book. Under it, it says Cattleman, Horseman, and PhD. Why that order?
Well, I'm not trying to slam PhDs. I happen to have one. But I think it's highly important that when you're really going to hone in on something that you want to learn from, that you need to work with someone who has had the actual experience and not just read about it and is regurgitating it in a book.
And were you a cattleman first?
Before I wrote the book, yes. Now all of my graduate work was in beef cattle breeding, and that's what I've done all my life until I moved to New Mexico to start the horse program there. I was a beef cattle specialist. Cattle are still my favorite.
Really?
But in order to have a good cow operation, you've got to have good horses to work with, so they go hand in hand.
Ah, full circle. What did you enjoy about the writing process?
I think the thing that I really got out of the writing process was it made me go back and look at my entire life. You know, it started right there, and I realized, how blessed I had been. I grew up in a small town of 750 people, and your parents knew what you'd done before you got home at night anyway. And it just made me realize, that I really had an idyllic childhood. And my parents were wonderful. I had two brothers and a sister. She was the oldest of the group. And my dad had 3 students in college at one time for a 10-year period. And yet they were content that they were going to make sure that we got a good education and we were prepared to go out into the world.
What do you hope people get out of reading this book?
I hope they get wisdom. It's one thing to be smart, it's another thing to be wise. And wisdom, I think, is what keeps you from getting hurt with the horse, and it also enables you to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
And the one thing I've noticed, I've been blessed to go around most of the world with horses, and every place you go, the same thing is needed. People are missing on the same exact things, regardless of what country they're in or what their language is. And so hopefully we can help with that.
Will you tell me the story behind the cover image, because it's beautiful?
Well, the cover, it is a beautiful thing, and it happened to be at a horse show right out here in the arena. And it was Jason Spear and his daughter Harper, and they're both riding horses that I'd bred and raised and sold here, a son and a daughter von Remenick. And they had just been at an open horse show, and I think she had been beating him every class, and all of a sudden he beat her in this class, and so they rode by and did that hand slap, and Laurie Gardner just caught it at the right moment, and I just thought, enjoy the ride, and that's what this is all about, is enjoyment.
And now that this book is getting released and is able to be shared with everyone, what's that like for you, knowing that you can share your whole life, your life's knowledge, stories, and continue to help countless people?
Well, it's really exciting to me that, people, not just horse people, but my friends and all that, we've known over the years, that they'll be able to look at this book and not only enjoy the parts about the horses, but how our family has been developed and entwined with it through the years and how much it's meant to us. So I think it's going to be a great book for any person that has an interest in horses, whether they own them or just enjoy reading about them and looking at them, whatever, but it has a place for all of those.
Will you tell me about your first horse?
My first horse was a paint horse. She was a little mare named Beauty that my dad, he didn't buy her just for me, but he got her for all of us. And I remember, like I say, I grew up in rural America, and we went down to the stockyard there at the end of the alley, and they had these horses there. And so Daddy said we could take our pick, and so we chose Beauty. And to us at that point in time, she was beautiful. And we rode many miles, with friends or by ourselves. And if you had a problem, you could talk to her and tell old Beauty about it. And she'd listen, and she wouldn't criticize you about it, and just come home and everything would be good.
Do you think that's when you first fell in love with horses?
Probably, yes. Yeah.